Before we talk about the novel itself, I think we need to talk about the road.
I think I knew at the whisper.
The road's whisper?
Yeah. I mean, the novel's called The Reckoning Road.
Once it says, "What I will share with you here is mostly true," the novel stops feeling like ordinary fiction.
And strangely, it never overplays that moment.
Exactly.
And the road itself starts feeling less like a setting and more like a witness.
Yeah. And then the storm arrives. And suddenly the story no longer feels entirely tethered to ordinary reality.
What impressed me most was the restraint. Most novels explain the mythology immediately. This one lets you sit inside inherited unease.
And the unease feels spiritual before it feels supernatural.
The road almost feels less like a place than memory, refusing to disappear.
And the story almost waits for you to realize that memory itself is becoming a character.
Which is what makes Reggie's world so fascinating. Because at first glance, he's just a boy growing up in Mississippi.
What I loved about Reggie is that he feels completely real. Curious, funny, nervous, like a child inheriting questions he doesn't yet understand.
And then the Yardman appears, and suddenly Reggie realizes the world around him remembers things he doesn't.
But even then, this section never sacrifices humanity for mythology.
That's why the shack material works. It's dread through observation, not spectacle.
The Yardman never feels random. He feels connected to something older, almost ancestral.
It's almost like the novel treats memory as inheritance. Something passed down whether people want it or not.
And that's really where Grandma Lizzie becomes so important. She understands that memory can also be a form of responsibility. Grandma Lizzie may have been my favorite character.
Yeah.
Same. She carries memory like responsibility.
Exactly.
And she understands something the rest of the characters are still learning.
That's true.
That faith and heritage aren't always separate things.
Every time she enters the story, the emotional depth increases.
There's wisdom there, but also exhaustion. Like she spent a lifetime carrying stories other people tried to bury.
That's exactly it.
And then the novel does something even bolder. It expands backward into faith, ancestry, and spiritual inheritance.
And Prince is where this thing becomes really dangerous, because he mistakes spiritual inheritance for personal power.
And Dinah understands that danger before anyone else does, because her faith forces her to see consequences Prince refuses to see.
That's what makes Prince tragic instead of simply arrogant. He inherits something sacred, but treats it like something he can control.
Well, and then comes Abracadabra, the moment the novel stops behaving like ordinary time.
You know, I honestly didn't think the novel could pull that section off. But somehow, it makes impossible things feel emotionally believable.
What surprised me is that Abracadabra never feels like science fiction. It feels ancestral and spiritual.
That's why the time fractures matter. Because time stops behaving like chronology and starts behaving like consequence.
And that's the real haunting presence in this arc. Not ghosts, but memory, refusing to stay buried.
And the road almost becomes part of that memory, like the land itself remembers.
That's such a deeply Southern idea. That memory lives in places.
Maybe that's what the novel keeps arguing, that history never really disappears. It leaves residue.
And the road never really lets its characters escape that residue. Not spiritually, not historically.
And Prince spends almost the entire novel trying to master forces that were never meant to be controlled.
And Dinah understands something Prince never fully does. That spiritual inheritance requires humility.
That may be the central warning of the novel.
Power without wisdom eventually becomes destruction.
What keeps the narrative from becoming abstract is that the emotional consequences always feel real.
Maybe that's why the novel keeps returning to redemption instead of escape. The characters don't really get to outrun what they inherit.
That's why faith appears to matter so much in this story. Because faith becomes a form of remembrance.
That's what makes memory a moral obligation in the story. Because forgetting becomes its own kind of transgression.
Forgetting becomes its own kind of purgatory.
Okay, that was actually good.
Yeah, that's staying with me.
Honestly, that's probably why the novel starts feeling dangerously personal after a while.
Absolutely.
That's exactly it. At some point, the novel stops feeling observed and starts feeling like it's observing you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, seriously. That feeling sneaks up on you.
Because the novel starts asking uncomfortable questions about inheritance, about what we carry. And after a while, you stop judging the characters and start examining yourself.
Whew.
The novel keeps asking, what have you inherited emotionally that you still haven't confronted?
And that's why people are going to leave this story thinking about their own families, not just Prince's.
Exactly.
Chuck Dick.
No, I'm serious. People are gonna finish this story and immediately call somebody in their family. And honestly, that's probably the highest compliment you can give a story. That it sends you back towards your own life.
Man, I was not expecting this conversation to get this personal tonight.
Too late now. Well, I think that's probably a good place to end.